気分は最高だけどびっくり世界がどんどん
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 19 of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Denji Sentai Megaranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well, man. It's a beautiful day out.
Yeah, the weather, and I think it's going to get warm again for a little bit, I imagine. But for the last couple of days, it has just been like fall weather here in Cleveland, which I will be annoyed when it's actually fall, but since it's still September, which I guess we might actually be into official fall now, feels great.
We've got like a week. We've got a week and change before it is really, truly, like officially fall.
At least here in the States. I know other places reckon the season slightly differently. But yeah, very nice. I'm wearing socks for like the first time in months.
I know, I do. Yeah. No, it is really weird. My house is all like, I had to, like over the summer, since I don't have air conditioning, I just leave my house open, like all the windows and stuff open overnight. So you get some cool air in, and
sure,
I woke up and came downstairs.
In the morning.
Right, and then I came downstairs this morning. I was like, "Oh, it's cold." It wasn't cold; it was 60 degrees. But like, I was so adjusted to it being 80. I was like, "Ooh, 60! This is like sweater weather."
Yeah, it's very good. It feels nice. You know what else is nice, Dave? It's episode 19 of Denji Sentai Megaranger. It is called "Drive It In: The Invincible Super Punch." This episode involves a series.
It's a
punches.
Well, there's one bad one.
There's one bad one, sure.
It's bad. It's a very good punch.
It's the context that is bad.
Yeah, that it does a very good job, like doing the thing that a punch is supposed to do. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We will get to it. But of course, first, Dave, as always, we have our officially award-winning opening segment. Dave, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. What is our first star of the week?
So, okay, man, we haven't had an episode of specifically Super Sentai Brothers in a few weeks. We had started school. Yeah, I had started school, and I started school the night before we usually drop/record, and I was just like, man, I don't have it in me this week. My focus is really elsewhere. And then last week, we were just coming off of actually a really, really great weekend, which we'll talk about in a second, but I was really intensely video conferenced out. And so it was just a lot. And so it's less of a 5 stars, I would say, this week, and more of a beautiful constellation.
Sure.
It's like a lot of little stars.
Yeah. 1,000 points of light.
There you go. That was good, Matt. That was a way to pull it out. So we got a bunch
what have you been up to?
So actually, I've been astonishingly busy. Actually, I kind of forgot. I worked yesterday, and I work a lot of days, most of them, in fact, now. And I took I took my kids for a little drive, and it was towards the end of the day. It was only like 4:00 or something. And Sugar Bean, she's in the back seat, and she says, she's like, "Hey, is it almost over? Or like it's almost night?" And I said, "Well, like we're driving around, and then it's going to be dinner time, and then it'll be bedtime." And she said, "This day went fast." And I was like, "Dang, you're only 3." But yes, it did go really fast. And I know this is sort of wild and like, woe is me, but now that summer vacation is over, I kind of forget how fast a day goes when you're working for most of it.
Oh yeah, man.
Like,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it is. It's like that. It just flew by, and all of a sudden it was like 4:00, and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness my workday is over. Like I can go like hang out with my kids." But then it was like basically time for dinner and then bedtime. So that's been kind of weird. But actually, I had some really amazing stuff happen. This was this past weekend, and this is what I was talking about before. Every Labor Day weekend, Matt and I and producer Mark and all of our buddies from kind of all the Retrograde Orbit shows all get together for a big like gaming / like kind of college reunion get together.
Yeah, it is our annual tradition.
We've talked
been
about
doing it for a decade.
Almost 10 years now. And
I think it's actually been more than 10 years. We skipped a year early on because it was a year that like everybody was busy. But I think the first year we did it was 2009.
Oh, you think you might be right. So it is. It's 10 years. And it's amazing. It's awesome. It's like one of my all-time favorite weekends of the year. We all look forward to it a lot. And obviously we couldn't really do it this year. But what we decided to do is we said, listen, we're going to do it as best we can. We're going to do it virtually. So we set up a Discord server and everybody got on. And we just kind of we had like a pizza party on Saturday night where like everybody just put their computer at the table and everybody ordered pizza all together. And the pizza party thing was, I think, the thing that was the most surprising to me in like the realness of it. Like it really did in a way that I was not expecting feel like having dinner with everybody.
Yeah, it was really nice. I've been looking forward to the weekend, but also been a little trepidatious about it.
Yeah, same.
Because it's such a special weekend for us, and it was going to be so weird. But like, dude, honestly, it was like a lot of the stuff that I was worried about not working super well actually worked really well. Because what we do normally is we play a bunch of games together, right?
Yeah.
But the games that we play together are like board games mostly.
Yeah. Yes.
But and so we sort of had two thoughts, right? We were gonna do we were gonna try the Jackbox party games, which none of us had really spent a lot of time playing, but are really set up well to do like remote playing with a bunch of different people.
That is the thing, dude. Those games were like, those Jackbox party games are a blast and well worth the investment. I feel like some of them were better than other ones.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, but it really, really genuinely felt like just sitting around playing party games. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was super fun. And then we also all played, we also got the Tabletop Simulator game on Steam, which is just, Tabletop Simulator is not itself a game. It is just like a 3D physics engine in which you can load elements of board games and manipulate them.
I tried to mess with that, and I got about 30 seconds into it, and I was like, I feel like this is going to give me a gigantic headache.
30 seconds in, and it was a huge pain. Once we had really spent a little time with it and gotten used to the controls, and I had figured out like how to make the camera work in a way that was good, and not in a way that was nightmarish.
Yeah, that was huge. That would probably be a huge step.
We just played board games together on a computer. Like, it took longer because things were, we were trying to figure out a computer system while also trying to learn the rules of Scythe.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, super fun game.
Scythe?
Oh, yeah, Scythe. Really,
oh,
really
yeah,
good.
dude, Scythe rules.
I was not doing super well in it. I'm kind of glad we didn't finish the game.
Well, who are you playing? That's the question. Who did you get?
I was playing the Poles.
Oh, I don't think they're super. I don't feel like they're super great.
Well, I'm not going to go into like the super details of Scythe. They have a special power that got me a good bonus early game, but
okay.
did not.
All right, I take it.
Did not seem to sort of bolster my end game strategy, or to the extent that we got to an end game. So it did not bolster my mid game strategy. But the fact that we were able to like sit around and play a board game and have a mid-game strategy on our computers was like really kind of a miracle. The idea of like, I'm just trying to imagine how the equivalent weekend would have been had we done it this way the first time, like 10 years ago.
Oh, you couldn't have done it.
Technology existed then.
No,
it just would have been crazy.
It would have just been like somebody with a camera trying to move all the pieces for everyone. It would have been madness.
Yeah, and like the Skype call would have been like somehow even more unstable than Skype is now.
Anyways, man, it was a blast. And I would just like, if you are, I don't know, if you find yourself in a place where you're like, oh, we thought about doing this, but it seemed like it would be sad and a bummer. It's not. It was totally great. Get together with your friends over Discord and like do games or something. Don't do like a virtual happy hour. Would be my recommendation. Oh, briefly, speaking of games, we got in another testing round of Tulip Mania. The game that I'm working on.
This was the first time I had a chance to actually play the game. We've talked about it a fair bit.
Yes.
But,
so you played it, and this was huge for me. Mom and Dad played it.
Yeah, our parents were visiting last week.
Oh, yeah,
which
was awesome.
Which was kind of the other reason we didn't do an episode last week.
Yeah, Mom and Dad were in, and it was, they did a super hard quarantine beforehand, and then so did we, so we were like, all right, safe, and they were able to drive up with no stops. We're still being very responsible, just want to keep that PSA out there. And, man, it was awesome. It was so great to be able to see Mom and Dad, not just because they play with my kids, but that doesn't hurt. And so... we were able to get in a round of this Tulip Media game, and I'm really stoked. I really feel like this game has legs. It was tons of fun.
Yeah, the thing is about Tulip Mania, and this is going to sound... Okay, I don't know how this is going to sound. I was not surprised by the fact that it was like a game, but I was a little surprised when we were sitting around and playing it. I'm like, oh, this is... a game. Like, this is not an idea for a game. This is a game.
Yeah, that was something that I noted, like, the first time I sat down with our buddies Bill and Ben and played it, and I was like, oh, this game actually requires... I really thought this game was going to require a lot more, like, polishing and, like, adding bits and knocking bits off, because, like, that's kind of the game design process. And it really doesn't in many ways. Like, there's
I'm sure there's room for, polish and refinement and expansion.
Yeah, there definitely is. But
the bones of it, like, are really there and work.
And the thing that I thought was super fun, and I think was the coolest bit for me, is that, I'm not saying this as like a knock on Mom. She's just not a board game person in that sense. But, like, Mom had a ton of fun playing it. And that was like a huge data point for me that, like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is a game that somebody who, I'm actually going to back that statement up. I think Mom is much more of a board game person than she realizes or thinks of herself being.
I mean, she did better than either of us did in that game.
She did beat both of us. Well, like, if you asked her, I don't think she would say that she's a board game person. But every time we, like, sit down and start to play games, as long as they are in like the zone where you do not have to have been a board game person for the last, like, 10 years to, like, make sense of this game, like, she is into it and has fun and gets the rules pretty quickly and usually does pretty well. So I think Mom actually is a board game person, just has not had a lot of exposure. So it's Tulip Mania. It's going super well. I'm hoping to have I thought actually about trying to do a virtual tabletop, like a tabletop simulator version of it. And then again, I got like 30 seconds into tabletop simulator and said to myself, no, that's fine.
I think what you need is to figure out which one of your friends enjoys messing around with, like, the creation side of tabletop simulator and have them do it for you.
Good point. I've got I surely I know somebody. So, Matt.
Yeah.
You know what else? We could talk about?
Sure.
It's time for Bun Vulcan. Welcome to Bun Vulcan.
Dave, here's my Bun Vulcan update for this week. Is, as aforementioned, our parents were in town, and they were bouncing back and forth between your place and my place, but they were sleeping at my place, right?
Yeah.
Which means that they were at my place for more total, like, time than they normally are when they're in town to visit, because they normally stay with you, right?
Right.
Which was great. It was very fun to have them at my place for that long. Here's what I kind of had not calculated before they showed up.
Okay.
Is that I have not sort of purchased bread since May. I only make my bread now, right?
Yeah.
Which, is very manageable. But what I have realized is that making sure that you always have bread like homemade bread in stock at home is a lot easier to do for one person than it is to do for 3 people. Because, like, my batch of baguettes generates 4, like, decently sized baguettes, and that gets me, 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
So I only make bread every 4 or 5 days. But when there are 3 people in the house and they all like bread, then I made 3 separate batches of baguettes like that 1 week.
Oh. Yeah, I can see that would happen. Dude, this is I have the same sort of thing, which is now that, so I've got a teenager and two young kids, and then of course my wife and I. And so now that like, you would be maybe you wouldn't because you've seen the meat. I am blown away by the volume of food that young kids consume. Like my kids, they just weighed themselves earlier today. They're between like 32 and 34 pounds, and they eat.
So they're
like
33 pounds
on average. So I can eat more than them, like obviously, but on a regular basis, I don't. Like we have about the same amount of breakfast and lunch. Which is just wild to me. But anyways, like when we sit down, if we have like sandwiches for lunch, right? Like I have 2, my wife has 2, and the kids each have 1, or sometimes I'll have like 1.5 or whatever. But like that's a whole loaf of bread. Like a loaf of bread doesn't even last a day. It lasts a meal. It's just a bunch of us. So here's my only Bun Vulcan update. I am continuing to zero in on a really great Genoese. And I think the most recent one I made was the best one I've made. It was really good. And the cooking time is even less. Again, my cookbook mentor, Jackie Pfeiffer, is like 30 to 35 minutes for this cake. I put this cake in for 18 minutes.
Wow.
And it was done. Like it was good. So that's my thing, is I'm still zeroing in, but it was a real good cake, Matt. It was a real good cake.
Nice. You love to hear it. Okay. Normally we have a list of topics that we're going to discuss, and so it's very easy to transition from one thing to the other. But right now, I know we're at the end of Bun Vulcan, and I know there's other stuff we meant to talk about.
Man, we're loose.
I can't remember what it is.
We're outside. We're off the res, man. We're outside the bounds of stricture. Things are just flowing free.
Oh, dude. Speaking of sort of being out in the wilderness, I've been playing a new video game.
Okay. I've not. I've just been playing Pathfinder still. Still waiting on that respec bug to be fixed. It's supposed to be fixed tomorrow, is what I'm hoping.
That is sort of why I have hit the pause button on Pathfinder for myself, because I really need to respec my characters in that game. Like, it is not
It's
super
bad.
good.
Right. So anyways, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Wasteland 3.
I literally don't know that I've ever even heard of it.
Okay, neither had I. It is obviously the sequel to Wasteland 2, which is itself a sequel to Wasteland. Now, Wasteland 2...
Yeah, I did put that together, thank you.
Yeah, Wasteland 3 just came out, right? Wasteland 2 came out in 2014. Wasteland came out in 1988.
Yo, no kidding. Oh,
yeah.
It's published by Deep Silver. That's actually Deep Silver is the same publisher that did Pathfinder.
Oh, no way. Anyway, basically, it is like a third, like an isometric camera, like computer RPG, like turn-based fighting stuff.
Okay, dig it.
And like you are these like people in this wasteland who are like building up a base, and like it's kind of Fallout-esque. I think I heard somewhere, and I am sort of vaguely scrolling through a Wikipedia to find some sort of proof of this. But my understanding is that the Fallout games were really, like the first 2 Fallout games at least, were very influenced by the first Wasteland game.
Oh, okay.
So this game kind of, and I've never actually played the first 2 Fallout games, but like, I think if you like the first 2 Fallout, like that style of game of the first 2 Fallout games, you should try Wasteland 3. And also, if you have the Game Pass, it is currently free on the Game Pass for Xbox.
Oh, sick. Okay, nice.
So I don't know if you still have that, but I do. So it was a very easy thing for me to just hop into.
Easy pickup. I do not right now. I do not. Although I'm vaguely considering getting it back. So, Matt, I think you have one other thing pretty big going on in your sort of space.
Wait, do I?
Well, the space that you live in.
Oh, sure.
Currently,
yeah. I'm looking for a house.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't want to say it for you.
It's actually kind of a weird situation because I really love my apartment and like
it's a great apartment.
And frankly would happily stay here for many more years. But like my landlord sold the building earlier this year, and currently my new landlords are trying to sell it again to newest landlords. Newest, I guess. Further new. There's a further iteration on new landlord, and I just don't know how many times I can deal with that in one apartment in like 1 year. So I am using this as an opportunity to explore my housing options, which is slightly exciting, pretty terrifying. But you know, I'm hoping to kind of balance those scales so that it's pretty exciting and slightly terrifying, you know, the sort of further I get into the process.
You know, man, having as a dude who has bought houses, that is you just roll with it. It is pretty wild when you first like the first time you do it. It was very similar in an odd sort of way to like getting married.
Well, still haven't done that one either, Dave. So that's not a really useful data point for me.
Okay, good point. It's a lot like having kids.
Okay, is it anything like?
It's like when you're starting a new Pathfinder character and you're like, this is a really big investment, except you can't respec. You just can't respec. Well, now maybe I shouldn't have used that. I was going to
say that's a bad example because the most recent Pathfinder character I made, I desperately need to respec.
It'll be
not
fine.
That easy of a class to figure out for a new time player.
So, no, man, you know, listen, there's no need to be trepidatious. Yeah. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no,
you'll do great.
It's interesting because in my price range, what I am finding is like cool but small condos that are in an area I would like to live, or like decent, recently fixed up houses that are like 20 minutes away from where I want to live. And again, I'm just trying to like find that zone, right?
Well, Matt, you know what the three most important things in real estate are?
Availability, price, and condition of the property.
No, Matt, it's location, location, and location.
I know it's location. Yeah, location is very important. So yeah, I don't have a ton of jokes about this. I went to go look at a place yesterday because when I looked at it on the computer, I was like, if I lived there, it would kind of feel like I lived in Daredevil's loft apartment in the
It did
Netflix
have a strong
show.
Daredevil vibe.
And I was just like, man, okay, this place I went to go look at yesterday, and Lord knows if I'll actually go with this one or if it's a terrible idea or whatever, but it's the only place I've gone and looked at yet, so I'm going to talk about it for a sec. It is a big sort of like open concept, like studio loft apartment condo thing, right? So one wall is basically all huge windows, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like the Daredevil loft, which is also great. And like it is a small space, but like fully 1/4 of it is just kitchen counter. Like it is it's just a huge kitchen counter. It is a kitchen counter so large that if I did get this place, I feel like I would be like contractually obligated when I signed, the paperwork to it, that I would have to start a YouTube channel about cooking because it's just like so perfectly situated.
Because you got the right,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. My kitchen isn't set up right.
Yeah, I know. Hey, listen, and I have long thought about like, what would it take if I were to sort of set up my apartment in such a way that I could pretend that one corner of it was a like a Tonight Show set with like the desk and the couch.
Oh, well, I think everybody has that thought.
Yeah, but with this place, it's open enough that you could actually do it if you wanted to pretend to live in a Tonight Show set, which is dumb,
who doesn't?
But very fun. Anyway, so that's those. I think, Dave, that is our constellation for the week.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff.
Speaking of great stuff, we're going to take a break. We're going to watch episode 19 of Denji Sentai Megaranger. It is called, once again, Drive It In, The Invincible Super Punch. Written by Junki Takagami. Original air date June 22nd, 1997. You can watch along on shoutfactory.tv, or you can buy the DVDs if you have a DVD player. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. This episode starts... This episode starts in, like, a scene that exists halfway through the movie Independence Day.
That's what I've got too. We've got a big flying saucer, and it's a great model.
It's a great model.
I really appreciate a good model. I appreciate a good model to the degree, Matt. I've never done this, and I don't think I can let myself go down this road, but I have vaguely considered being like a model guy.
Oh, like a model kits guy?
Like a model kits guy. I've thought about it. Or like a diorama guy. I've considered it. I think it's in the same universe as being a model train guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how some people are like, yeah, man, I've got an addictive personality and I just can't, like I'm not going to try. I'm not going to touch those things. I'm not going to have one drink because I know where that might go. I feel the same way I think about model trains. I'm like, nope, not even one. Can't do it.
So, here's the thing, Dave. I think that if you ever want to be that, the thing that you need to do is to determine that your workshop for that is going to be in your basement. And that you would have to clean out your basement in order to set up a thing, in order to start that hobby. So then either that will stop you from ever starting that hobby, or it'll, get a nice clean basement out of the deal.
Listen, I have had a clean basement in the past. I'm looping back around.
I know. I'm not trying to put you on blast here.
So it's a good. Anyways, it's a very good model, and it's there's some kid that I feel like we know.
Well, I mean,
and maybe we've seen him in previous episodes.
Kenton knows him.
Rangers, Kenta knows him. And so it's beaming around the city. It's like floating around the city. And then it just straight up Independence Day's a building. Like there's a big blast and it explodes. Like if I didn't know better, well, actually, I don't know that I know better. If you told me that the person who did the Independence Day sequence had seen this episode of Super Sentai first and was just like, I like that, but I'm going to do a big budget version of it, I would believe it. Like it is exactly the same.
Well,
That's
Dave,
also
Independence Day came out in 1996. What did I say?
Oh, This was 97,
97,
right?
yeah. This is the year after Independence Day. This is almost exactly 1 year after Independence Day.
You know what? In my mind, I don't know why, Independence Day came out in 99.
Oh. Okay. I mean, a lot of movies came out in 99.
Matrix came out in 99.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace came out in 99. I was thinking of it as coming out in 99. It's a ridiculous year for movies. Anyways, so they just straight up Independence Day this building. And so then something like Kune Kune paratroopers down from this saucer. Yeah. One dude straight up gets like a flying boot to the head, like a person from a Kune Kune. And they're just like grabbing kids. And this is the point where I thought that we were going to get the reveal that this was not really happening.
Yeah. Me too. I really thought we were in like a nightmare sequence.
Yes, we're not. This is all really happening.
Okay, so the Kune Kune are kidnapping children. The Mega Rangers arrive, and they're like, okay, the Kune Kune are here. We need to shoot them with our laser guns. And then they notice that, there's a lot of kids right next to those Kune Kune, and we have not all taken the feat precise shot. So we got a penalty for shooting into combat. That's too. And if we fail too badly, we're gonna... there's a mischance that we can actually hit our own party. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah, well, you're taking that +4 difficulty or -4 for firing into melee, so that's it's concerning.
It's really tricky, man. Precise shot's so important.
It is. It's bad. It's such an important feat. That and point blank shot is huge. So the Kenta is like, all right, no worries. I will just solve this problem with my many punches.
Right. So he goes in and he's punching him. He's punching him so good.
Yeah, it's a very good play on Kenta's part because he is a very punchy boy. And then it's things, there's like a sinister guy up in the background, and we don't know what's up with that dude yet, but we'll
get him.
Yeah, we'll get him.
Kenta goes to do like a Roman Reigns Superman punch on this one Kune. But as he is just about to punch that Kune in the face, suddenly there's like a blur, like a flash blur thing. And the Kune has been moved out of the way, and in his place is a small boy named Takeshi. And this is bad, because he's already mid-punch. He's already past mid-punch. He is in the end game of this punch.
Yeah, this... And so Takeshi eats it, like full to the face. Also, can I just say... I have been seeing this name lots of places across like various media for many years. I have always assumed it was pronounced Takeshi, and they in this show pronounce it Takeshi. And I just found it like disorienting the whole episode.
Oh. I can try to say it that way. I promise you I will fail consistently.
No. I'm just going to keep saying it Takeshi, and I'm just going to admit now that I'm wrong. I was wrong about a thing I didn't know about, and that's fine. Normally, I would push myself to be a better person and correct that wrongness, but I'm just going to roll.
I don't know, man. I'm
with
tired
it right now. So, anyways, I really figured that this sinister punch, this titular punch for this episode, was going to be a monster punch and not Kenta almost killing a child.
Well, okay, Dave. There is. I think that the title of the episode is based on a different punch. There are further punches in this episode.
There are further punches, but this is what I was thinking in the moment.
I was just like, yes, absolutely.
I was like, this was not the punch that I was expecting they would name the episode
because
after.
The thing is that the title of the episode is Drive It In, the Invincible Deadly Punch. And in this moment, like, I can see why you would call this the Deadly Punch.
Yeah,
but Drive It In seems pretty bad, guys.
So now, spoilers, Takeshi does not die. But he took a mega red punch to the face.
Yeah.
He's not doing great. So we jump from there to the Nezare dimension.
Well, we jump from there
Dr.
briefly to the
Hinolar.
hospital.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. And Takeshi is... See, now I actually am doing it, weirdly. Takeshi is in the hospital, and Kenta is... This is a Kenta episode, by the way. And it's really... I mean, it's not good that this young boy is in the hospital after being super punched, but it's some really good stuff from Kenta.
Yeah.
Like he is wrecked about this.
Yes. So now we go to.
I mean, very understandably so, right? But the thing that I am digging is this is like, I just feel like this is really, really solid because this is Kenta's whole thing, right? Like everybody else is like smart or good at whatever. And Kenta's thing is not, I feel like, not just that he is a hero in a generalized sort of way, but like he hangs out at the arcade and he is the cool older kid that
looks out for
all
the
these younger kids.
Like that's how he was introduced in the first episode. Was specifically helping these kids when a bully came to hurt them.
And now he is like inadvertently hurt this kid, and the actor does a great job. It's a really great episode. So now, thank you, Matt. Now we go to the Nezare dimension, and Hinolar is furious.
Right. Well, the thing is, all three, like Hinolar, Yagande, and Shibolena, they're all like, "Why did you do this without my permission?" But like nobody actually. What we find out is that none of the three of them launched this attack. This was a Nezare attack. We know that because Kune were there, but it wasn't Yagande doing it without Hinolar's permission, and it wasn't Hinolar doing it without Yagande's knowledge. It is an entirely different dude who is lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, enter the entirely different dude from Out the Shadows. His name is Guirail? Guirail?
I am sure we are mispronouncing it because, it is spelled Guirail, but those letters, those sounds are different in Japanese than they are in English.
Yeah, but Guirail, let's just go with Guirail. That makes sense to me. So,
I'm going to
Guirail,
say Guirail. Listener, if you know how this is pronounced, please tweet at me at Super Sentai Bros, because it would be better to know how it's pronounced instead of just saying Guirail forever. Because I get the feeling this guy's going to be around for a while. I guess spoiler for the end of this episode.
He's got that look. So Guirail, he says, "Oh, I'm the one who authorized it." He does grab BBDB and it looks like he's about to kill him, and that would have been cool, but he doesn't. And then he says I was sent from headquarters, and I really did not think that Hinalar was just the franchise manager. I sort of thought Hinalar was higher up the corporate chain than that. Because he's now Guirail is here from headquarters, and at first they don't buy it, but then King Javius comes over the wibbly wobbly
his big wobbly eye
thing.
shows up on the viewfinder, and he's like, "Hey,
and he's
you clearly
nope,
have been having trouble, so I'm sending my number one guy."
Yeah, Hinalar is mad salty. He is salty on main about this. He is not happy, And then Guirail just does he's like, "I'm gonna kill the Rangers," and then he just laughs a bunch, and he's got a weird laugh, and I'm not totally sure what he's laughing about, but he's laughing.
And also he displays to Dr. Hinalar et al. That he has a bag full of kidnapped children.
Oh, maybe that's what he's laughing about. I did not realize that was what he was pointing to.
Yeah.
So we go from there, and Kubota, Dr. Kubota calls the Rangers, and he says, I have recognized an upgrade in tactics. They're being smarter about it. It's terrible that they're doing this, that they've kidnapped these children, but clearly there's an upgrade in tactics. I don't know why he knows this, because kidnapping children has been step one of 6 different plans.
Well, I think it's not just the kidnapping children, right? It's the Independence Day invasion. Other than a little bit in the first episode, the Nezare haven't really done that. They've kind of been going week by week, monster by monster. They haven't been doing full scale invasions. So the fact that they blew up a couple of city blocks is very different.
So he says, "Listen, what's how are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Kenta's friggin' wrecked about this."
Right, he's not even here.
Yeah,
Kenta's
Takeshi,
still
we go
at the
from
hospital.
Yeah, now Takeshi is in the ICU, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so upset." Again, I don't want to underplay as though he's not upset for a very good reason.
Right.
And the doctor comes out, and he says, "Listen, we saved Takeshi's life, but he's still he's not in great shape." And then other Rangers show up. The other Rangers show up first, and then the doctor says, Takeshi will live. And the Rangers are like, "That's great." And Kenta's like, "It is not great. I put a child in the hospital. I'm never turning into Mega Red again."
Yeah, I am too dangerous. If I can't trust myself to not punch a child near unto death, then it is not worth it.
And then we get some really great, sad, fuzzy guitar.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Very 97.
And I think we've... extremely 97. It's very, very good. I feel like we've gotten a lot of that this season.
What I really like here is that Koichiro tries to stop him from leaving, and then
he does. Man, I do just want to say real quick, if I may. I'm sorry. I do just want to say real quick, as a child, as a 90s kid, I was willing to talk about my love for fuzzy guitar for a few more minutes.
Oh, go for it,
We don't
man.
have to.
No, go for it, dude.
No. Dude, can I just say, I love fuzzy guitar. I'm sure there's a distortion or something. I'm not a guitarsman, but only 90s kids will remember, Matt. And I just love fuzzy guitar. Like, as soon as I hear it, like, that particular distortion sound is like deeply nostalgic for me. Like, as soon as I hear it, I'm like, this might be a bad song,
but I don't care.
but I'll give it a listen. I'll give it a listen if there's some fuzzy guitar.
Watch
You've
yourself,
at least got in the door.
I'll listen.
You at least got your foot in the door with that fuzzy guitar. So
anyway, so Koichiro tries to stop Kenta from leaving. I think it's Shun and Chisato are like, listen, just let him go. He's feeling badly. But Koichiro is like, no. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but this is not a problem that can be solved like through sympathy. Like, this is an actual situation, and we need to like confront it and deal with it. And he runs after Kenta, and he catches up to him. And he's like, hey, I understand that you are having a very difficult time right now, and I am sympathetic to that. But you quitting the team is not actually going to set anything right. And you know this.
That is a non-option, my dude. Like, the monsters are not going to stop showing up because you feel bad.
Right. So what they decide to, like, what Koichiro's idea is like, okay, you did a bad punch. So maybe we just need to like practice and make it so that you can do the good punches. So let's do like boxing training.
Yeah, like the vibe that I get specifically is like you did a wild punch. Like you did a punch that you were not like fully like locked in on, and that's where the mistake is.
Yeah. And then we get some boxing training. And you know a boxing training scene is always great. We had one I know we had a boxing training scene in O-Ranger. I can't remember how many other boxing training scenes I've seen in Sentai, but you know, it's universal. It's across all cultures and mediums.
I was gonna say we got a lot of them. There were some really good ones in Ranger, obviously.
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, so and that's what they do. Like Kenta or Koichiro just gets like the catchy punchy gloves, and
Kenta gets the punchy gloves.
And Kenta gets the punching gloves, and they're just doing training, and it actually goes really well. Like he goes like stop, and Kenta manages to stop, and he's like, all right, cool. Now try it where you go to punch my face and don't, and that's like too much for Kenta.
Right. He has like a flashback to punching Takeshi, and just like freaks out, takes the gloves off, and runs out of the building.
Yeah, now what I dig about this is actually some pretty tight storytelling, because what it tells us is a key piece of information. It is not a physical problem that Kenta is having, right? Like he doesn't lack the ability. This is a mental block that he has got because now he's freaked out about, punching somebody.
Yeah. It also shows me that like, I feel like Koichiro had this idea and knew where he could find some like boxing equipment. But Koichiro does not, in this moment, come off as someone who is an authority on boxing training. He's like, okay, man, you swing, and I'll keep my hands up here. Then you stop. Okay, now do it again with my face. Oh, boy. Okay, no, this isn't going anywhere useful.
And then he's lost. He has no more plans after this. Back to the Nezare dimension. And somehow, it's not super clear, but they're like, if we turn off the internet, the humans will panic. And that does make sense. I think it made less sense in 1997. But they mentioned something about iNet. And I like, maybe what they're trying to do is cut off iNet's internet service.
Yeah. And there's
so
one
like the
facility.
Rangers will be cut off.
There's one facility that like is the hub for all of this. And Uganda is like, well, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for you to get into that facility because it's highly guarded. Like, like I understand the plan, but like this is not as easy as you're making it sound.
Guy Rail says, that's cool. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to use those chillins as human shields.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're just going to walk in. They're not going to shoot us if we're holding children.
And the Nezare are just like, dang, that is a really good plan.
Yeah.
We had not thought about that. You are 100% correct. They will not shoot children to defeat us.
So Hinamar is immediately on board. Shibalina goes over to the kids and is... I thought that she was going to hypnotize them, but actually she calls over a scorpion Nezare to hypnotize them with like laser beams.
Okay, yeah. I got two things here, man. First of all, I do dig that Hinelar tells Shibolena to do it, because that kind of cements for me that it is not random that all of her plots are like mind control plots.
She's the mind control person.
Yeah, and I do dig that.
But then why does she use this scorpion monster to do it?
Why a scorpion? It was so good when they had the owl, because the owls have the big eyes, and you're like, big round eyes equal sign hypnotism, and that makes sense. Why a scorpion? Have like a butterfly who does a dance.
They've recently
like
had a moth.
Snake or something. They did have a moth. Do a snake. Do like a hypnotizing snake. Like a cobra Nezare with a flute. That would have worked.
No, it's just a scorpion. And listen, Scorpion Nezare, does he look cool? Yeah, sure. He looks generically cool.
Kind of, yeah, generic. He's not terribly interesting. He's no Bee Nezare.
No, he's certainly not the best scorpion monster we've had across the various seasons.
Definitely not. Baradarts
Baradarts had a
scorpion monster.
Monocle.
Yeah, Baradarts ruled.
This guy does not rule. He's fine. He is definitely a background character. Like, as soon as Gyrail shows up, you're like, this guy is going to be in at least 5 episodes. Probably at least 10. As soon as Scorpion Nezare shows up, you're like, oh, you're in this episode because we just introduced Gyrail and we need to kill somebody this episode, but it's not going to be him. So it's you.
Yeah, so that's it. So poor Scorpion Nezare. Oh, he is born but to die.
Weirdly, Ugande, when they're talking about using the kids as human shields, like, and whoever is in the costume for Ugande manages to do a very good job of this, despite the fact that he cannot move his face because he has a monster face or a robot face. He is. I recall when Ranger Danger was going through this era of Power Rangers, and they were talking about, I think he was a Cliptor in Power Rangers, was the name of the Ugande suit. They
okay.
One of them said that he was a Tron, and I'm still not entirely sure what that means, but I also think I agree.
That he's a Tron?
Yeah, he's got a Tron vibe.
Well, it's like
because I was going to call him a robot.
Thing.
I was going to call him a robot, but robot.
Yeah, he's not a robot.
Right,
he is a Tron. He's like a ray traced dude. I dig it.
Yeah. Anyway, but despite the fact that he can't move his Tron face, like, you can tell that he has definite misgivings about using children as human shields. Probably not because he cares about children. Probably more because he cares about, like, some vague sense of, like, combat honor.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that feel from Ugande. He's talked about that before. Like, that's why he's got it in for Red so much, because he's like, you beat me, and I want to come back and beat you.
Yeah.
And so I can see where Ugande would look at this and be like, this is not like it's effective, but this is not like a tactic that... I think really what it would be for Ugande is he's like, this is not a tactic that allows me, Ugande, to show off what like a hardcore dude I am.
Right.
So
anyway, it makes me interested in what later Ugande developments they're going to be.
Yeah, I have high hopes for Ugande. I think he's a cool monster. Or a lieutenant. So we go from there, and Dr. Kubota shows up in a dope car.
Yeah,
it is
Kenta
definitely
is just
vintage.
like shouting and throwing rocks into the water alone.
Yeah, I don't know what the vintage or make of this car is, but it looks pretty sick. So
it looks like the sort of car that would look very much in place in an episode of Batman the Animated Series.
The animated series! Matt, we are like, I just feel like we're vibing real hard today. I feel like our notes are very similar. I'm into it. It's a good feeling.
It's very good.
So he's like, get in the car, as he does, and he says, listen, man, I know you're having a hard time. Just come with me. Oh, there's something I need to show you, and then I'll take you for yakiniku later. And zero response from Kenta, which is amazing. And he's like, we'll even get like the fancy like special kalbi. Still nothing. And then Kenta's like, I'm not in the mood. And Dr. Kubota doesn't pull like a nani, but you can feel in his heart that like it's there.
Right.
And
Kenta then does notice that instead of having fuzzy dice hanging from his rearview mirror, Dr. Kubota has like these like small ornamental boxing gloves hanging from his rearview mirror.
Oh man, I'm so into this.
This is a minor thing, but I feel like it's important to mention is that Dr. Kubota is not wearing his jacket. He's just wearing like his shirt with suspenders.
We have never seen this before.
Right. He is like showing up in like casual, like relatable mode. And I think it's very good.
Yeah, he doesn't flip his chair backwards, but if he had one, you know that would be the orientation. So
they drive to a boxing gym.
Which of course. Now this is, and Kubota, Kenta's like, no, whatever. And Kubota's like, no. He's like, listen, you may not believe it, but like I did boxing when I was a kid. And he's like, look at that guy over there. There's a guy in the black shorts. And I don't know if you caught this, but he says, the guy over, like he says something like, kurai shortsu. And kuroi is the word for black. And I guess the Japanese word for shorts is just shorts, which I got a kick out of. I actually did see... I did not realize the degree to which Japanese is so heavily peppered with English loanwords. I did see a pretty wild video where it was like in Japan by Japanese people, and they were like kind of going out on the streets, you know, like late night talk show style. Mm-hmm. And they said, hey, can you speak to us for like, I don't know, a minute speaking only Japanese, like using no English loanwords. And like basically nobody could do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, like it just was not like they just could not kind of like make that happen. So, well, I think just the Japanese are very chill about like they're like the polar opposite of the French, right? Mm-hmm. Where the Japanese are just very chill. They'd be like, we didn't have, I don't know, I'm just picking shorts. Like we didn't have shorts before, and like somebody showed up wearing shorts, and we were like, what are those called? And they just said shorts, and the Japanese were like, that's not a word that makes sense in our language, but let's go for it. And I think shortsu, I think it's amazing. I love it. So anyways, he says, listen, that guy over there in the black shorts, he is training to come back. He had a 6-month break because he punched somebody beyond repair, I think is what
beyond
he says.
recovery.
Beyond recovery. And he's like, he was so jacked up about it that he couldn't come back. Like but now he's back.
Like he has a mental block where he can box, but he had a lot of trouble getting to a point where he could punch somebody in the face again.
Yes. I have a very mild beef with this scene, and here's the beef that I have. This would have been the perfect opportunity to bring back, and I feel bad I can't remember the actor's name, to bring back Bullet Shoji, the Warrior of Love, for like a quick cameo to be like one of the dudes in the gym, even if he was like training or something. It would have been. I mean, like
listen,
that.
And I feel like any time is a great opportunity to bring back Bullet Shoji, the Warrior of Love.
It is, but I feel like this would have been particularly delightful. Like I almost was looking for it. Like I was kind of waiting for it, and then it didn't happen. Anyways, Kubota says, listen, dude, the other champion encouraged this dude to come back and could do his training to have like a worthy battle. You cannot make...
Oh, is that what he was saying? I thought he was saying that the guy who had been injured was telling the other guy to come back to boxing so that he could like be the champ for the both of them or something.
Oh, okay. You know what? Either one kind of works. I didn't quite catch it, but it's a very quick line. But he says, listen, dude, Kubota says, he says, Kenta, you have to keep fighting. But not in the way that, like, Koichiro does it. Koichiro is just like, you have to keep fighting because there's still monsters. Kubota's like, I think takes a much better tack. He's like, you have to keep fighting for Takeshi and also kind of for yourself.
Right. Like, there's, like, you can't get past, like, I know that you are hurting right now, but that sort of hurt is not the sort of thing that you can get past by running away from it. Like, you have to push through it. And, like, do the thing right and, like, sort of begin to set things right with your action as opposed to with your inaction. And so Kent is, like, taking this in, and then they get an alert that there is, like, Nezare activity. And Kenta looks at Dr. Kubota. He's like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. And Kabuto says, well, hang on a sec. Because actually...
Chill out, bud.
Now that you're willing to punch again, boy, I got a special treat for you. Because now you're going to... Now I'm going to give you an invincible deadly punch. And he hands him a battle riser. And the battle riser is basically like... It's like a secondary henshin bracelet that he wears on his other wrist. But now it is to like program super punches into his body.
Yeah, they do not even like quite... they do not even quite explain even that much.
The only thing that he says is like, this is the cutting edge like weapon technology. And then he says, how much power you get from it is up to you. A phrase that makes very little sense, even after having watched the episode.
Yeah, it is not terribly clear what they.
I've got an idea as to what he means, and I'll mention it in a minute. Anyway, Kenta accepts this gift. He runs off. He henshins. He summons a cyber slider, and he flies off to go punch dudes super hard.
Yeah, it's a really excellent transformation. He does like it's a running henshin, and then as he like right when he does it, he like does a big flip as he's calling the cyber slider and like lands on the cyber slider and then launches.
Yeah. So they get to, I don't know, this internet hub building.
What they say is the coastal city.
Coastal city. Like where Green Lantern lives.
Yeah.
Until Mongol destroyed it.
Jeez.
You know, at the beginning of Emerald Twilight.
Yeah, no. I know the one.
Anyway. Oh, Emerald Twilight. I don't have any jokes about Emerald Twilight. I'm not even going to bother to talk about it anymore because I feel like I've already alienated 95% of our listeners. Not because there's anything wrong with Emerald Twilight, just because not that many people remember a story about Mongol destroying Ghost City.
Yeah, not a highlight in my mind.
You know.
So anyways, Guy Rail...
Dave, do you want to talk about Parallax for 20 minutes?
Listen, Matt, don't throw that out there, because you know I kind of do, actually.
Okay.
Not necessarily at this moment. I've got more of like a standing order for like, will you talk about Parallax for 20 minutes? Yeah, sure.
I spent 20 minutes Googling Hank Henshaw today just because. That was the day I was having.
So Guy Rail shows up, and he's got the kids, and he's kind of making his way in, and the other Rangers are there, and they're like, can you fight? And he's like, yes, I can. And they don't throw in an unforgivable here, but you can tell again
that they should be shouting unforgivable.
They should be. It's sort of, yeah, it's an odd step that they don't.
So they're trying to fight. Scorpion Nezare is being like shielded
Pointless.
by these brainwashed children, and the brainwashed children are sort of like kind of attacking the Rangers, and they're
getting
kids.
They're getting some like zombie attacks.
Yeah, like they're not doing much damage, but the Rangers can't fight back against them. Kenta is able to like juke himself sort of around this whole situation. He gets a hold of Scorpion Nezare. He's beating them up until Guy Rail pops in. It says like, hey, it's cool that you're fighting that guy. You're doing a great job. Your punches are excellent, and I want to commend you for them. Why don't you just come and punch me? Also, I am holding a child right now. Just FYI. But please do come punch and defeat me. You should totally do it. I'm a bad guy. You're a superhero. Your punches are so good. Just hit me with one of them. See what happens,
Get in here with
bud.
those punches, bud. Go for it. Kenta can't do it. Can't do it. He's flashing in between Takeshi and this kid. He still lacks the confidence. He's very concerned. And then Guy Rail just sort of like tosses the kid away. He's like, I knew you didn't have it in you. And then Kenta does not take this moment, like once the kid has been tossed away, to then just punch Guy Rail.
Right. Well, but the thing is, Guy Rail is doing like teleport dash attacks. He's like very quick and slippery.
Yeah, well, he does. He starts those immediately. And so Red is down. Things are looking very bad. And then gets a call from Kubota, and Kubota's like, I've got a message for Takeshi. And then Guy-Rail just sort of chills out for a minute. He takes a quick breather. He takes a quick 5 while Kenta views the entirety of this VA visual message from this child. And Takeshi says, I'm fine. Not only am I fine, I don't blame you. I know it wasn't your fault. It was the bad guys put us both in this situation. Like, we're cool. Go do many punches.
Yes. So now Kenta is in the fight. He like grabs Guy-Rail and jumps, and then they're outside. Because, you know, man, they probably went through a wall or a window or something, right?
Yeah, it's whatever.
And he activates his Battle Riser. And it's got 3 buttons on it. It's got a 1, 2, and 3 button. So like he hits, I can't remember if he's going.
He
like,
goes
1, 2,
2
3.
first and then 1.
Yeah. So
I know he doesn't touch 3 yet. Maybe we'll see 3 in a later episode.
Yeah, he never hits 3 this episode, which is why I think when Kubota says it gives you as much power as you want, like he's saying that there are various stages to what this thing can do for you.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So he hits number 2. Number 2 activates the Riser Chop, where he jumps and he hits like a glowing karate chop. And then he hits number 1, and it activates Riser Punch, which is a glowing punch. These are both very good hits. And Guy-Rail sort of like stumbles back, like kind of hits Kenta a little bit to get himself a little space. It was like, dude, obviously we're not going to deal with this right now. I'm out of here. And he turns into like Real Adventure of Alex Mack, like CGI goo, and like flows away.
That is also what my notes say. A lot of great pop culture references in this episode.
Kenta now is all fired up. He goes to rejoin the other fight where the other Rangers are still struggling with the children and the Kunekune and Scorpion Nezare. He just like singles out Scorpion Nezare and does that same 1-2 punch of like the chop and the punch. And it just like...
Yeah, that's basically it.
And what it does is 2 things. One, in the actual action of the episode, it defeats the human-sized Scorpion Nezare before they go and have to defeat the giant-sized Scorpion Nezare. But the other thing that it does is it really gives you a good picture as to how powerful Guy-Rail is. Because we can now see, like, Guy-Rail took those hits and was able to just leave. Right. This guy just died. So now we kind of get a vibe that Guy-Rail is not just another dude. He's like he's a major guy, which the episode was already telling us, but this was a good way of demonstrating it.
Yeah, so then we get a giant fight, and it's like a non-fight, man. There's one. The only thing that's notable about it is that like Kenta does pull some slip and glide like duck like boxing moves, and then he says something about like my supervision is working, and then they just like wreck Scorpion Nezare. Yeah. Scorpion Nezare is like a non-entity.
So he's gone. Cut back to the hospital. Takeshi is okay. He has been downgraded from full head bandages to just like one bandage around his forehead. They all say like, man, we're really glad to see you. We're glad you're okay. Kenta gives him a bouquet of flowers and is obviously very emotional about the fact that Takeshi is okay. He says, listen,
yes,
I'm glad that you're okay. Also, there's somebody else who wants to like wish you well and apologize. Let's go meet this mystery man.
Right, and then you see them walking, and then Takeshi's like, hey, where did Kenta go? The person who wanted me to meet this mystery person and now has mysteriously left. And they're just like, oh, he had to go to the bathroom?
What a weird question. Why would you even say that? Anyway, let's walk over here, where Mega Red is standing, not in any suspicious way.
Yeah, so then Mega Red's just like, hey, little buddy, I hope we're cool. And then Takeshi's like, yes, we're cool. And then that's it.
Yeah, they hug. It's very sweet, and that
it is very sweet. It's not for what is in many ways a highly emotional and action-packed episode. It's sort of like it's like no, and then it's over.
Yeah, of course that's the end of the episode, but it's not the end of our episode, Dave. Because first we need to determine where Scorpion Nezare goes on the Creature Royale.
It's
Scorpion
not
Nezare sucks.
It's not technically the end of our episode. It is basically the end of our episode because, yeah, this dude sucks. He is astonishingly, he is less interesting than the ultimate life form. he is actually, you know what? Okay, I'm actually gonna say something bold here, Matt, if I may. Father Magnet is at the very bottom of our list, or he's very close to the bottom of our list, because he's defeated by his own magnet power. But even that is kind of interesting. Whereas Scorpion, so normally to be at the very bottom, you have to be defeated by your own powers.
Or like the people below Father Father Magnet are the people who are like just like creepy bad, not
like monster bad. Like you're just bad.
Like I wish I didn't watch that episode bad.
Yeah, and so I'm actually gonna put. I don't really remember Chichi-Chipuri, the makeup guy is what it says, but I'm definitely gonna put. I say Bara Scorpion goes at least below Father Magnet.
Let's put him right under.
Or
Father
not Bara
Magnet.
Scorpion Nezare. What's up?
Let's put him under Father Magnet. Yeah.
Okay.
Between Father Magnet and Bara Vacuum, which puts him at the new number 194. Not great, dude.
Not a great showing, Scorpion. But that is the end of our episode.
I just want to say that on the Creature Royale, Dave has written down the name of this monster as Scorpion Nezare, the non-monster. Very good, Dave. Choice.
Thanks.
Anyway, that is going to do it for another episode of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com if you want to get any updates on future episodes or want to check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, or if you know how to pronounce Guy Rail. We're on Twitter at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Rate, review, subscribe on there. Tell a friend. Just do whatever you want, honestly. I however you want to get the word out about the show, I support you. Don't listen to these sort of prescriptions. What I want you to do.
You live your life. You make your decisions.
Yeah. Get out there. Anyway, the Super Sentai Brothers are a production of the Retrograde Orbit Radio. If you'd like to listen to any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can find them all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.
Denji Sentai